joining us. Are you joining us from Alaska, Richard?
Yeah, he's cold.
He's in Siberia?
Hey guys, this is we're going to be
Yeah,
discussing
actually.
rules from Rule 7 and Rule 8 from the NFHS rules book, and Brandon White's going to be leading us. Take it away, Brandon.
I didn't hear where you were, Richard.
Australia, it's winter down here.
Oh, my word. Welcome. All the way from the land down under. Awesome. What part?
I'm in Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Nice
And I'm assuming this is for work, not vacation?
correct. So,
All right. So before I dive into Rule 7 and 8, which were pretty standard rules that we should be familiar with, I want to ask the question here. I'm going to share my screen. Let me do this real quick. Sorry, hold on real quick. Wait a minute here. Can you see that? Is it in the PowerPoint presentation or is it just one slide?
It's
you
need to go into presentation mode.
Yeah. Let me do that real quick.
Well, I mean, you could do it from right there. Like put it back up there, and then just click on the projection screen.
I'm usually really good with this. There we go. Okay.
Then you need to reshare it
Yeah.
and put your shirt back on.
Oh, sorry about that. I thought you guys wouldn't. All right. So first, before we dive into the rules, this is a good point in time. We're 90 days out from the high school season, 3 months. I'm curious to know, hearing from you, what are some of the things that you do to get physically prepared for the upcoming season? Are you drinking tall pints of beer and eating sub sandwiches, or what is it that you do, or when do you start kicking it into gear to get ready for the season? Anybody can chime in.
I think Carol started.
I'm eating garlic bread right now. That's good.
Garlic bread and filet mignon. Anybody else?
Playing a lot of golf, walking.
A lot of golf and walking. Okay.
I've joined.
I've been playing full court basketball once a week.
Nice. The anaerobic workout.
And playing pickleball 2 or 3.
Good.
I do anabolic steroids.
It shows. Shows. Richard, you were going to say something.
Oh, I broke down. I finally did it, but it was the only thing that kept me motivated. Is I joined a spin cycle bar, so I do spin class.
I've done that. That kicks your butt. That is a workout. John, you're always in good shape. What do you do?
Well, I usually play ball on twice a week, but right now I've got trouble with my left knee. So, I had my right knee replaced last September, so it's okay. But now my left knee's giving me trouble. So right now I'm not running I work outside a lot, but as far as conditioning, my wind, I haven't been running for a few weeks.
Well, maybe staying off it for a while is the best way to get ready physically for the season. I know there's a lot of different ways to do it. For me personally, about 3 months is, I try to work out obviously throughout the year. I shouldn't say obviously, but I work out throughout the year. But in about this time, I start to do more mobility workouts, lateral movements, bounds, those types of things, trying to get the hips ready for the upcoming season. And then something that's really worked for me is the HIT. If you've seen the high intensity interval training, try to usually end a workout with a 10-minute, 1-minute fast walk, 1-minute run, trying to get that stop and go feel. I think helps my body to get prepared for reffing, which can be hard on your body. So it's hard to believe we're only 3 months out.
Oh, less than that, really.
Well, yeah, for middle school, it starts in September, but for high school, we start here in about 3 months. Okay, so rule 7 and 8 is what we're looking at. And before you go to your books, let's see if you can just name the 4 things. And we're talking about the player right now, not the ball. When is the player out of bounds? Name the 4 things according to Rule 7, Article 1.
Boundary line.
Okay, so number 1, boundary line touches the floor.
Touches a person or object that is out of bounds.
Person or object, right? Teammate that's on the floor or teammate out of bounds. Can you think of an object?
Well, like the stands, the benches, something like that.
Benches, okay. Yep. Camera, if there's being recorded, or equipment.
Basketball supports are going over the backboard.
Right,
talking play-
okay.
We're talking player, right? Player.
Yeah, not ball yet. We're talking player. So we've got floor object
The player
or
jumps over the
person
backboard.
player. What are the other 2? This one I had to think about. It states gains an advantage by contacting or being contacted by. Do we have an example of what that could be?
Well, a coach or a player can't be out of bounds and hold you inbound so that you don't touch out.
Okay, so being helped to stay in bounds, if the coach is helping them to, yeah, exactly. That's a good one. And then the 4th one is outside of boundary, right? Okay, so it's obviously outside the lines. Okay, so that is the player. This picture was, I believe, last year, where Kyrie Irving hit a game winner on Nikola, and later video showed that his heel barely was touching the line, but he was technically out of bounds. So even the littlest amount, by definition, a player is out of bounds. Now, as a ref, let me ask you, if you're in the, I don't see a lead there, so maybe you're the C right here. Are you looking at his foot right then and there in the last 5 seconds of the game?
I don't take a glance at it, yeah. When it's that close.
And if you see this, Richard, you're whistling out of bounds?
If he's out of bounds now, obviously I'm accessing this on my phone, so I don't have a blow up of it. If I saw it in person, I might see it differently. But this is a white shoe on a white line. It's kind of hard to see him being out of bounds. If that was the only view I had right there, I probably would not have called anything, because just from the perspective I have from this picture, doesn't look like he's out of bounds.
It's, oh, sorry, it's really, really hard to tell. Any other thoughts? I'll pick on a few of you. Michael, what are you doing? Are you calling that?
Well, you gotta call it, but I don't remember ever seeing a white line inside of a blue line. It should be, in a
Yeah,
high school
That's not a
court.
great,
I
yeah.
figured the blue line there shouldn't be a white line there.
It makes
That's
it
not the way
tougher,
they usually
right?
make a court.
Yeah, yeah. I personally probably wouldn't have called if, one in a live game like this and how fast paced, I don't know if I would have noticed. And if I'm so focused on his foot, I probably could have missed a foul if there was contact, right? I'm more paying attention to the defender, but these are just things to think about in a game where it could have just been decided either way. They end up winning the game. If we were honed in on the foot and saw it, they would have lost the game, right? So even a little bit of a violation on the boundary line is a win or loss.
Yeah, for me, I would say, how competitive is that matchup?
Yeah.
I would say, I could probably take a millisecond to look down at his foot, and if it's indisputable, yes, but if it's not indisputable, then I pass probably.
That's good.
I have a
That's
question.
good.
Is according to the picture I'm looking at, it appears to have some air between the heel and the line. Is that what it looks like to you guys? Like, is it actually touching the line or is it above the line?
That could be. Now if you magnify the picture, it does appear his heel is down. And remember the old Sean Elliott Sean Elliott with his Spurs hit that three in the corner and his foot was over the line, but it was up. The line was here, his heel's up, it wasn't out of bounds. I think this is different because the heel was down.
Yeah, the plane is not a concept in determining out of bounds like other violations where there's a plane involved, right?
Right. And if you don't have the luxury of video like us in high school and you call this out of bounds, boy, that's a tough call. Nobody else saw it probably except you. Okay, so now let's talk about out of bounds the player, or excuse me, we already did that case study on those. This happened to us last season. And this is a lot of times why we encourage the C ref to be in bounds. So the case study here, the C ref is standing on the sideline and the ball hits the ref, but the ball stays in bounds. Is this a dead ball?
Yes.
It's a violation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. That's why we encourage us to not stand on the line when we're officiating, because if the ball does accidentally hit us, it is a live ball. It's not a violation.
Well, that goes back to your first example there with touching an object or a player out of bounds. That's an object or a person. That's if you want to call a ref a person or an object, but he's out of bounds, then the ball is dead.
Correct. Yep. Okay, so now when it touches the ball, here are the 5 things on this. So a player who's out of bounds, these are pretty obvious. Any other person, the floor, or any object on or outside a boundary. The supports or back of the backboard. We often have to explain this to fans or uneducated coaches about the top of the backboard, the side of the backboard is not out of bounds. The ceiling overhead equipment or supports, right? So what would that include? Overhead equipment?
Lights.
The
Lights,
the cable holding the basket up.
the cable, shot clock,
If you're at
shot
Camus,
clocks.
Camus and I think it's just Camus that has that catwalk over the baseline. Got to be careful there too. The ceiling, in other words.
Yes, that is correct. They do where all the pictures are.
Yeah.
Well, Fort Vancouver has that walkway too at the one end, and that can really, on a throw in, that can be a hazard for the person throwing the ball inbounds.
So is this a famous shot by Larry Bird? If you were like me, I tried to be like Larry and practice this shot, and I was pretty good at it. Is it legal?
No,
Illegal. Illegal.
You
In
sure?
high school, yeah. It's
Positive.
illegal in high school.
illegal.
It's illegal, and the ref does. You can see him starting to go. He waves it off. It's not a basket, but was pretty cool at the time. We had this actually last year. I want to say, Mike, were you with me on that one on the last second shot by Washougal High School that he shot? No, it was Ari Long. Washougal.
At Washougal?
Yes.
Yes, that was really close.
Remember, fortunately, he missed it, right?
Yes. That was at the buzzer. Yeah.
If he makes that, though, we probably would have had to come together because he technically was behind the backboard, wasn't he?
Well, the fact that it went over, whether he made it or not, should have made it out of bounds.
Well, it's just because you're behind the backboard, depending where you're at, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you can still shoot it where you're catching over the top of the corner, right? And you're
No.
not necessarily.
If it
Yeah,
passes,
but if you
Or it's
right,
out
but
of-
if you're throwing that ball on the other side of the backboard and it comes across to the front side, are we technically out of bounds?
yes, not technically, we are 100%.
No, say that again.
No,
If
I
you're
just-
shooting- Go ahead.
I
I'm saying,
disagree because it's the ball.
let's say where Red's bench is, right? Let's say if Larry Bird shoots in that far corner, right?
Yeah.
And he shoots it, he's technically by the plane, he's behind the backboard, but if he shoots it, that doesn't necessarily have to cross over the top of the backboard, and that could still be a legal goal.
I agree. The
I
ball,
agree with,
Go ahead.
yes. Go ahead, John.
I'm saying he may be behind the backboard when he releases the ball, but the flight of the ball may carry it in front of the board before it actually hits
Yeah.
the basket.
And that's the rule, is over a rectangular backboard.
And I would be hesitant to call a violation on that unless I knew for certain it's clearly over the backboard.
Yeah.
In other words, if it's unclear, try not to call it. I'd rather have the spectacular play in than try and show everybody how good I know the rules, and keep in mind, it's the spirit of that rule too is available to us. So I wish the rule book would just come out and say completely over the backboard, or the whole ball has to pass over completely. Because if it just passes over a corner and it's close and the whole ball isn't over there, then it gives opportunity to say, well, it didn't go over the backboard. Only part of the ball went over the backboard. So clarification would be great on that.
Yeah, I think the key was the flight of the ball that you said, John.
Yep.
And you'd have to be pretty close to the backboard to have it as a violation to make it pretty obvious that it was over. If it's a shot, from 5 feet out, it's probably going to be pretty hard to call. Agreed?
And it's especially hard for someone, let's say if you're the trail, you're way out high, it's really hard to see that angle, whether it's over the backboard or not.
Yes. Well, and
Yeah.
that's technically where a lead may have a better view, right?
Right. That's almost got to have to be the lead call.
But they're not supposed to be watching necessarily the
right.
shot.
I hear you.
Yeah. Then it would be at least to get their input if we ever had a discussion on it.
Yeah. where Bird is right there, that's almost, he can see that shot. But if he's on the outside and wider, then yeah, then that's got to come from somewhere
And
else.
the lead did end up calling it here. He
Yeah.
whistled it off, which is probably the right person to call it.
Yeah, it's almost a C could probably see where that's at.
All right, I'm going to show a couple clips here. These are probably pretty easy, but let's see. I'm going to call on Michael. You tell him, or Cello. I'm going to ask you if this is who's this ball out of bounds on?
Right? That's pretty small.
And play it again. You see that?
Looks like it was deflected by the defender.
Okay. Is it out on Holland Jefferson, Brooklyn? Is that out on Brooklyn?
Out on dart, from what you can see. Out of bounds on
Everybody
dart.
agree?
White ball.
No,
Anybody disagree with that?
It's
disagree.
a violation on the thrower.
Yeah, so Marcelo, look at where the ball ends.
Oh,
It ends in
he
Marcus
caught it.
Smart's hands after it was still a live ball because it hadn't touched the floor, right?
yeah, I didn't see that part. Yeah, it's out of bounds on white. The ball didn't touch anything. He was out of bounds and the ball touched him, so that's a dark ball.
Exactly. All right, let's go to the next clip. This one's a little bit tougher, and we have this come up quite a bit. Hopefully, I'm going to slow it down.
Our next clip shows a pass that is deflected and stolen by a defender, but the officials stop play for an out of bounds violation.
Okay, I'll play that again.
Our next clip shows a pass that is deflected and stolen by a defender, but the officials stop play for an out of bounds violation.
Let me take out the closed captions because I think it's hard to see. Let me do that again.
Our next clip shows a pass that is deflected and stolen by a defender, but the officials stop play for an out of bounds violation.
Okay. Explain that one. Do we have a violation there?
I don't have a violation.
Well, the official is pointing to the floor. He's sending it to players. It has nothing to do with over and back, right? He's talking about, he's pointing to the floor, saying that white player stepped out of bounds.
Okay,
Which he did, but he reestablished himself.
he does call out of bounds. Is that the correct call?
I say no.
Oh no.
And Mike, you said the reason why.
I mean, the ball was in bounds. The player was in bounds. I mean, he reestablished himself on the court to be able to catch it.
Stolen by a defender.
So he went out there, reestablished before he touches the ball, right?
I couldn't tell on that first touch. I mean, it's really close. Run that back. I couldn't tell right in that first initial touch whether he was out of bounds or not. That's only like his very first. If it's not on the very first touch where he wasn't out of bounds, then to me it's not out of bounds.
Shows a pass that is deflected and stolen by a defender.
He's out there, doesn't have the ball, establishes both feet.
Yeah.
So,
I'm good. Play on.
yep. Those are hard ones to get. I accidentally called that a couple seasons ago. Realized after I whistled it that he did reestablish. So you can save the ball from going out of bounds, go out of bounds, establish possession, and then grab the ball.
And of course, I always forget what it means to reestablish. It's just, I think it's just 1 foot, right? It doesn't have necessarily have both feet backing in on reestablish. I think it's just one. We're good, right? Thanks.
Now, isn't this similar to a long pass down court?
Yep.
Player's running down court to receive the pass. He jumps up and knocks the ball down, but his momentum carries him out of bounds. But he comes back in and secures possession. So that's the same type of situation, right? That is still legal.
That's legal because your momentum carried you out. And as to Mike's point, you can't think of it like football where you establish 2 feet down. That's not a thing. Here, it's either you're inbound or you're out of bounds.
Yeah. So if he comes back in with 1 foot, he's in.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
unless that foot is touching out of bounds.
Yep.
Yeah, so he can, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, technically, it's no other body part could be touching out of bounds or any objects or people out of bounds.
Yeah.
And it's just the 1 foot to establish yourself inbound.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Section 3, Article 1, causing the ball to go out of bounds simultaneously, which tends to happen. Technically, probably a rarity, but to the visual eye, it probably seems to happen more. What do we do in that situation where we think it's out of bounds simultaneously?
Go with the arrow.
Alternate possession.
Just an arrow.
Yep, go with the arrow. If you have that happen once, nobody questions it. What if you start to do it 3 or 4 times a game?
Do what? Call that call?
You keep calling it arrow possession because you don't know. You think it went out of bounds simultaneously.
I think it's unusual, but if it actually happens, you've got to call it. You can call it 4 times in a row if it happens 4 times in a row.
If you call it 4 times in a row, you're going to get booed.
Yeah.
I know, but you're talking about a situation that you can't just please the crowd because you made that call 3 times already, but you know for a fact they both hit it at the same time. And I say you've still got to go with an alternating possession.
Yeah. If you're the primary whistle, the initial whistle, and you 100% see that it went off both players at the same time, and that's when you call, right? But if you're not sure, then usually what happens, right, is you almost defer to another official or ask for help or something like that, right? Just if you're not 100% sure, and they may have 100% knowledge, but you still may end up going to the arrow, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we're obviously there are times you just got to do that. If you keep getting caught in this situation, the chances are you're not perhaps completely playing it out to see if there was a last split-second touch. Yeah, I think you just start to lose a little bit of credibility if you're constantly going to the arrow.
That's true.
Oh, I've seen in a lot of games that are on TV where a person hits it off another person's hand and out of bounds, and it looks like the hitter hit it out of bounds, but when you see the replay, it last touched the other player, and they have to reverse it in the last couple minutes or whatever they do. But they often will call it's the person that caused it to go out of bounds as the one that doesn't get the possession. So
So I had this come up in summer ball where it was just 2-person and I was the trail and the lead. The ball got thrown from the post to the wing and it hit his teammate. And then I, in the trail, saw a nick of the ball, just barely. But the flight of the ball changed a little bit, probably hard for a lot of people to see. And I called the point of the direction that the ball stayed with the offense. And obviously half the crowd was worked up my partner came over and just said, "Are you sure you want to call that out? Not out on the offense?" And I said, "No." And he says, "Oh, I just don't think you saw that." So he overruled me and we went the other way. And then in the timeout, a fan came over and said, "You had the right call." The ref couldn't see it. So I guess point is if you're not in that position, don't try to make a call.
Yeah, I can't even think the last time I went to the arrow for a situation. I think our normal tendency when we have an out of bounds on our line, we're just going to go with one way, right? We're not going to even debate or ask a partner. I think we just normally make the decision, and people live with it typically, right?
Yeah, especially if you're like in the lead and you're going to go ask the trail for his opinion on that, and it went out on the end line. I think that's a tough dynamic, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, if I'm the off official on that, I'm not going to come over and question you unless I know for a fact that I saw something that you got wrong. That makes both officials look bad.
And it does, and it should be just a question, right? It shouldn't be, "Hey, you didn't get that. We need to overturn this." It should be, "What did you see? Here's my information." If they're confident they saw it, we should just say, "Okay, play on." All right, section 4, ball awarded out of bounds. Name the 7 articles when we are giving it to the player or just the ball's awarded to them because of 7 reasons. Can you name those?
After a violation,
Violation,
A non-shooting foul.
common foul,
player control or
when the
team
bonus
control.
when the bonus is not in effect, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Held ball.
Yeah, held ball.
Possession arrow, okay. Yep, held ball.
Are you
3.
separating? Are you
Beginning
separating?
of a quarter.
Go
The
ahead.
ball
Mark.
goes out of bounds.
Are you
That's a
separating personal
violation.
fouls? What about technical fouls? Is that separate from personal fouls?
No, that's correct. A technical foul, flagrant or intentional. Those are all part of one, so that's 4.
After a successful field goal or free throw.
Oh yeah, after a basket.
Correct. Yep. It's 5.
Do we say player control, team control foul?
That's 6. Good job.
Did we cover one like if the ball hits the structure of the backboard or anything like that?
That's a violation. That kind of is classified.
How about an
I had to
inadvertent whistle?
really. Pardon?
How about an inadvertent whistle?
Yeah, that's like when the ball becomes dead when the team's in control, right?
That's it. The ball becomes dead while a team is in control, provided no infraction or the end of a quarter period is involved.
Yeah.
So that would be an inadvertent whistle. Good. Those are the 7. Okay, so we just had a change. If you got your referee magazine from July and you read it, you would notice there, I think this is a huge change that should have changed years ago. No longer do we have the imaginary diagonal lines. We are now using the 3-point line. This is exciting. So obviously, if it's beyond the 3-point line at any position in the court, even in the corner, it will be given to them at the 28-foot mark. If it's inside the 3-point line, no matter where, it will now be given to them on the end line. Everybody see that change?
Mhm.
Yep, like it.
Yeah, that mark in the book is way out there, though. I mean, that's way more than 3 feet, if you're relatively speaking.
Yeah, that would be more like right here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that little hash mark is.
Yeah. I just think that's a good change. We always were kind of guessing.
Oh,
Some
love
of us had a different definition of, no, that's the inline. No, that's the 28. Now there's no opinions on where the ball should be. Speaking of which, the new one, I just saw it today, it came in. But this has all the point of emphasis in it for next season as well. Okay, so now we're on to section 5, and let's name.
Yes. Out of bounds
What?
spot, right?
Yeah, name the reasons why we would not go to the 4 designated spots. What would be the reasoning?
Just out of bounds.
Out of bounds?
I guess technical foul or intentional foul.
Yep.
Mm.
How about backcourt? They're in the backcourt.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So the backcourt is now one of the 4 spots this year, though. So like if something occurs in the backcourt, we now go to the backcourt 28-foot line or the backcourt 3-foot line on the end line. That's also new this year.
So you're saying if I call a timeout in the backcourt, there's now a designated spot in the backcourt?
Yes, I am saying that because it's,
Oh,
yeah, that is the case. That is brand new this year.
Hey, go back a slide. You can, yeah.
oh, because you're right. It's saying here backcourt.
Yep, front court, back court.
Good catch.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
those spots are it. So if they get trapped in the corner, they get forwarded up about 25 feet up to that 28-foot line. If they're trapped inside the 3-point line in the backcourt, you're going to take it to the 3-foot mark, 3 feet outside the lane line in the backcourt. So all those 4, it's now 8 spots technically, I guess, but
Yeah.
it's the 4 spots now also apply to the backcourt.
Boy, that's always amazing. I looked at that thing 25 times and I never really caught that.
Yeah.
I was so focused on the front court of it that I didn't even notice. So now it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Cool. Makes it easy.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, I think we said all of these. We miss any?
I don't think so.
Yeah. All right, we're moving on to free throw administration.
Go ahead and hit that.
1986 called. They want their phone back.
That's great.
It wasn't rotary, was it?
It sounded like it. All right, Article 1. When should we hand or bounce the ball to the thrower? Yeah, I think this is a good discussion, especially I think we have a preference as an association. Marcelo, let's ask you, when do you hand off or when do you throw?
On the first attempt versus the second attempt?
You're talking about free throw administration?
Free throw administration when you're lining
Sorry,
up.
we're at throw-in administration. I apologize. We're at throw-in administration.
Oh,
not-
throw it?
Yeah, my bad.
On the end line, you hand it to him and start the count. On the 28-foot line, you could do a bounce.
Okay, those are, yep. What about if there's a press? What are we preferring to do?
I would prefer a bounce to kind of get a step back to see more of the court, of the players surrounding, on the floor.
As long as you're on the side of the inbound, right?
Right.
if you see that there's a press, you definitely want to come over, right, and hand it to them. Not doing or bounce it. You don't want to bounce it across the floor if there's a press, correct?
All right.
Okay. Anyone else? Any thoughts on that?
Sorry, I missed a couple minutes there. That was Neil. He was calling me back. His brother or brother-in-law came in or something, so that's why he couldn't be here tonight. So just let you know, that's why Neil couldn't sign in with us tonight.
Well, I'm glad he called you.
I've got some thoughts if nobody else does.
Yeah, go ahead, Errol. You as
So,
the
I mean-
president should establish this.
I know what the mechanics book tells us. It says if you're in the back court end line, if there's pressure, go to the same side and hand on the ball. Don't bounce it. You hand on the ball. In the front court end line, always hand on the ball. Some of us will get lazy in a sub varsity game or a 2-man game and go ahead and bounce it across. That's probably acceptable between you and your partner. That's not what the book says, though. What the book says to do, and you ought to pregame this with your partner, is if you're going to bounce it on the end line, pregame. But please do it correctly all the time, preferably. But as long as you and your partner are on the same page, it's okay. Sub varsity. When it's on varsity, please do it correctly every time. That's on the end lines. Okay? On the sidelines, the mechanics book just says okay to bounce. That doesn't mean that it's mandatory to bounce. It just says that it's okay to bounce. I prefer to bounce it every time just because it says it in the manual. But that doesn't mean that you can't hand it to them. I know the NBA hands it to them now. They kind of toss it to them. It looks good to give a little quick toss to them. I like to back up 3-4 steps and bounce it to them so I can see the inbounds and any potential violations and fouls going on in my purview.
Yeah, sometimes it may need to be a long bounce because you've got players who may go pretty deep into the backcourt to try to get that throw in, right? So it's good to stay level with those players.
And in 2-man, I prefer to bounce it like 40 feet rather than run over to the other side of the court and have my partner bounce it. I'd rather it's really easy to bounce it even halfway down the court or 2/3 of the way down the court. I'd rather just bounce it to them.
Then it's about efficiency, right, of the dynamics
In
of the game
2-man,
mechanics.
in 2-man for sure.
Yeah, thanks, Errol. That's a good summary. I think what you said, the key is in varsity ball, you do it to the book, right?
Well, in 3-person, try and do it to the book as much as possible. More than varsity, in 3-person. Varsity for sure. But we should give that same time and effort at any level, quite literally. But in 3-person.
JV, I still come across on a press.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, any level come across on a press, right? I would prefer that. I would prefer that my partner did that if I would expect myself to do that. But if my partner doesn't do it, I might ask them once, or it might be pretty obvious if they're not going to. But I'm gonna need to fill in for them if there's any trouble. I'm gonna be a little more aware if they're bouncing it across the key, or if I'm lazy and bounce it across the key.
Good.
Good to know.
All right, you said it. It means Bible. There we go.
Great.
Scripture. Michael, when does the throw-in begin?
Which Michael? Rainbow?
Yeah.
All right.
Rainville.
Okay, I believe it's when the inbounder has possession of the ball, or when the count starts by the referee.
Yeah,
So the
and when will
5 count. Go ahead, Mike.
I say, and when does that count? When starts that count?
That's the key. Is the 5-second count should start when what happens?
When the inbounder has possession of the ball.
Yep, when the ball has been handed to the disposal
Mhm.
of the player. That's when the 5-second counts.
Okay, what about when they delay and the official sets the ball down and begins the count?
It's a good discussion.
Mhm.
So I say the throw-in starts then. If they don't, they can run down there real quick, and if they beat the 5 second, if I do that, I set the ball down. I blow the whistle where we're to resume play. They delay in their huddle, and I give them. I'm lenient with that, but if I set the ball down, I'm going to sound my whistle loudly and back out and slowly start that 5 second. Hopefully, they'll get out there and throw that ball in before I reach 5.
And we're talking after a made basket too, correct, in this scenario?
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
So what
So it's
Yeah.
after the
what happens if there's a made basket and the new offensive team just lets it bounce for a while?
So we just need to
That's-
clean up the language on the definition here. So we heard the word disposal, we heard the word possession. I believe the rule book says when the ball is at the disposal of the
Disposal.
holder.
Right.
It
It
doesn't
is
say
the
possession.
disposal.
It's when it's
Right,
at the
so-
disposal. So
So
if the
5
offense is
second
just-
count could start before the inbounder touched the ball if he
Correct.
takes too long.
yeah, if you're judging that
If
they're
it's
just
on a made
throwing,
basket, you can begin before that. So we're talking about when we are handing the ball to the player, and this is the throw-in begins when the ball is at the disposal of a player of the team entitled to throw it. And that's where the 5 seconds begins.
Okay.
Okay, so we're actually talking about an official administering the ball.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, John's point is this happens a lot, is they're not grabbing it and they're telling their players to go here and there. And at some point, I guess, John, like he said, they're not going to take it. We could call it delay of game, right?
What I see happening more often is the player who's going to throw the ball in, he'll actually stand in bounds for several seconds, and that's how he gets that delay. He won't back out of bounds. He'll just stand there like he's talking to his players, and so until he gets out of bounds, we can't hand the ball to him. But again, if they continue to do that, you say that could be a delay of game.
Yeah, there was a great
Maybe.
play in that Prairie game at the end of that Prairie playoff game where they had to do that resumption of play procedure and put the ball on the ground, and crazy play, possible foul result because of that. Yeah, it was a crazy play.
All right, so let's go through a couple of these quickly. These should be easy. How many feet does the thrower get? And which direction?
You talking a spot throw in? Or, I mean, spot throw in, it's 3 feet.
This is not after a made basket. So 3 feet, which direction can they go?
Either direction,
Left or
Either
right, yeah.
direction.
Left or right?
How
Yeah.
far back can they go?
as long as they keep 1 foot over the throw-in spot, in that 3 foot area.
So, yeah, we're talking 3 feet this way, but how about backwards?
Oh, indefinite.
They can go as far back as they want.
Mhm.
Unless you're at Fort
Second.
Vancouver.
Technically, they could go back 10 feet and throw the ball. Try to throw it with a couple steps, right?
Mhm.
One-handed throw, long pass, that's completely legal. I want to read 5. This one's a little bit confusing to me. I had to read this several times. Teammates shall not occupy adjacent positions which are parallel to and within 3 feet of the boundary line if an opponent desires one of the positions. Can anybody explain that? Visualize that rule?
yeah, it's specific to a throw-in. So if you've got two players standing next to each other and it's within 3 feet of that line, they could, I mean, they're setting up basically a picket fence or an elevator type play, right? And so it's kind of like the jump circle. If somebody wants to have that position, they're allowed that positioning if there's more than two players together, or if there's two or more players together. So it's the same thing on any sideline. I don't think I've ever seen a play like that, but
No, but the only time though, if an opponent desires one of the positions that they are in, he or she can come in and remove them out, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the
I
theory.
haven't had this. I haven't ever seen this really.
I usually only see it on the jump ball, but yeah, not really on the sidelines. But I remember this one.
Jimmy Chitwood player. Right?
Yep.
This
I'll
is a
make it,
dead
coach.
ball. Yeah, it's different if it's a live ball, but on a dead ball, it's basically the same thing anywhere.
All right, here's a question, case study. Mike Ryan, you gave the ball to the wrong team in the throw-in. They immediately throw it and score. Can you rectify your mistake?
I don't know. For some reason, in my mind right now, I'm thinking of a recent change that is correctable to do that.
It is. You are
Yeah.
correct. You can call it off the shot, fix who you gave the ball to. So here's the rule. When an official administers a throw-in to the wrong team, the mistake shall be rectified before the first dead ball after the ball becomes live unless team control has ended.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a live ball. You can call this off and give it to the correct team. Okay, a couple free throws and we will be good here. We're going to be done here in the next few minutes. During a free throw, line spaces may be occupied as follows. Let's go true and false. I'll give this to you, John. Marked lane spaces may be occupied by a maximum of 2 defensive players and 4 offensive players. True or false?
False.
The other way
Why?
around.
You can't have 4 offensive players. You can only have they have the middle position on, but only 2 of them.
What if the 2 defensive players don't want it?
That doesn't matter. They still can only have 2 on there.
If the defense only has 2 and they pass up on the other ones, you're telling me only 2 offensive players can come in.
Okay, now I'm trying to remember now. If the defense doesn't want that, I guess the offense can take it. Is that right?
So the offense has to match the defense, right? So because we have to have 2 defenders on the first hash to the basket.
Right. We can't administer until we get 2 defensive.
That has to be occupied. If offense wants to come in, they can only get equal to the defense, right?
Right.
Okay. All right, Errol. Players shall be permitted to move along and across the lane to occupy a vacant marked lane space within the limitation listed in this rule. True or false?
Sorry, I'm multitasking. Players shall be permitted to move along and across the lane to occupy a vacant marked lane space within the limitations listed in this rule. Sure, true.
Yep, it's true. They can move across after the first free throw, whatever they want to do, if it's vacant. All right, Marcelo, fill in the blank. Any player other than the free thrower who does not occupy a marked lane space shall be behind the blank and behind the 3-point line.
Free throw extended and the
Good
3-point
job.
line.
Yep, good one.
Yeah.
That was a tough one. Good one. All right, let's go to Mike Ryan. Article 2, we have a shooting foul that occurs and then followed by a technical foul on the defense. How do we execute the 2 calls or administer the calls?
In the order of occurrence. So we have a shooting foul, and the defensive player. So we'll shoot the free throws with the lanes cleared. We'll shoot the shooting fouls first, followed by the technical fouls, then a inbound free throw at the opposite of the table.
Nice job.
Yes, true.
True. Yep. Good job. That's it, boys. Any other comments or anything that you picked up on? I know you read through this today, so any other comments on the two rules?
Oh, thanks for putting that together, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you for hitting it up. Good job on that.
Thank you. All right.
Great. Thanks. I'm going to stop the recording now. Appreciate you, Brandon, for all that effort.
You bet.